Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, everybody. So happy to be back with you on this beautiful late summer Sunday evening.
Wasn't it gorgeous today?
It is. Boy, I tell you, we get our money's worth, at least at that level.
Yeah. You know, I did a hike up to Echo Mountain. You know,
No, where's that?
Well, it's at the top of Lake. It's about a 2.5 mile.
Sure. Okay.
You know where the old Mount Lowe railway went up?
Yeah, I've been up there many times.
Yeah.
Kids love it up there. Just beautiful. And you have this beautiful view. Were you able to see Long Beach and the water?
Not quite.
It was a little hazy.
It was a little. I did it yesterday and today. A little clearer today, but can't quite see Catalina yet.
Yeah. It's
we'll get
beautiful.
those beautiful, clear fall afternoons.
Coming
up.
Oh, I tell you, sun's going down a little bit early. It's my favorite time of the year. It really is. Hey, we've got a good show for you tonight. First of all, as all of you may know, and if you don't, really we ought to, because in fact I'll plead guilty to missing this date often, but tomorrow, September 17th, is Constitution Day. And it was on September 17th, 1787, that I think 56 people signed the Constitution there in Philadelphia, and then began the hard work of getting it ratified by the states. It was truly a miracle in Philadelphia, as it has been called many times. It was an incredible political achievement. It stands unrivaled in history, and even today, our Constitution, particularly in its original meaning and conception, remains the most revolutionary and provocative political document in the history of the West. When I say the West, I'm talking about Western civilization. You should also know that tomorrow, I did not know this, I looked up Wikipedia, and yeah, I know it's a lib source, but they actually have some pretty good stuff in there. They mention also that tomorrow is Citizenship Day. That day was originated by a Hungarian immigrant lady. I think, back in the early part, 30s or 40s, something like that. She thought it'd be a great idea to celebrate Citizenship Day, and, I'm so glad she did. President Trump has issued a proclamation declaring tomorrow Citizenship Day as well as Constitution Day. And it's really appropriate, is it not? We had a little pre-show here on Facebook. Hey, by the way, those of you who are on Facebook, if you enjoyed us, give us a thumbs up or whatever.
And share our page.
Share a page. And for people who like to hear maybe we were only able to do it tonight because only tonight did we have an empty studio.
Yeah.
Usually Kathleen is in here doing her show live before we get access.
I guess, if it became popular, if we had a real demand for it, we could probably do a half an hour after the show.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, do something. We'll do it. But in any event, if you want to join us at any time on Facebook, Jonathan, how do they do that?
Well, just get in touch with our page. Just search for our page, Radio Free Los Angeles. Very easy. And then you'll get all the updates, and you'll see our Facebook live feed.
Great, and all the screen. Hopefully we won't get kicked off for hate speech, although every time I say we ought to cut spending, I think they regard that as hate speech. But in any event, somebody once asked me, what's a racist? Well, the answer is a racist is anybody who proposes cutting federal spending 15 cents 50 years from now. You will be labeled as every kind of miscreant, starting with racist, misogynist, a dog hater, flea hater, you name it, they'll throw in the tub. If you disagree with an unlimited state, you're racist. But in any event, we also have on some people here tonight who are going to join us. Dave DePinto of Don't Railroad Us. Now, you arranged this. Tell us a little bit about DePinto here.
Well, he's opposing Jerry Brown's bullet train.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Well, I think he's specifically opposing the route that goes from, I think, Lancaster to Burbank.
Yeah.
So, but this is his big issue.
Okay, well, we'll have Dave on. We'll see what he's got cooking. I don't know that we can do anything unless we put another initiative on the ballot.
It's just cut off the funding, right? I mean, isn't that what we need to do?
Well,
first things first, let's repeal the gas tax.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We just start pushing it back. In any event, we'll talk with Dave when he calls in. Then we're also going to have a congressional candidate on tonight, Dr. Kenneth Wright. He is trying to upset this far left-wing nutcase, Ted Lieu, in California 33. Now, Ted Lieu is in Congress right now, and isn't his wife also? No, that's who's that crazy Asian gal?
Judy Chu?
Judy Chu. Man, is she nuts. Oh, jeez. But
I have to say this. I haven't met many Democrats that are dealing with a full deck.
Well, I'm telling you.
I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. It's nuts. And I can't believe that that she's that strong in an Asian community that is dominated in so many ways by successful professionals and business people. That is our Asian community here in the San Gabriel Valley. They know a lot about money and business, what makes economy work, what doesn't, and yet they show a strange affinity for this gal. At any rate, we'll do that. We're going to have some suggestions about what you can do. We'll have an update on the California gas tax. Now, that's Proposition 6. You really need to be voting yes on Proposition 6. Now, Proposition 6, everybody, that is the proposition that will repeal the recent increase in the gas tax and in the registration fees. And just that increase, folks, just that increase raises the cost of operation, raises taxes on the average family of four by $800 per year. Now, that average family of four, those are younger people. Those are families in their 20s, families in their 30s. They're working hard. They're trying to set money aside. They're trying to pay mortgages, trying to set money aside for college and everything else. And Jerry Brown, the California legislature, and the public employee unions have got their hands in their pockets. It's absolutely outrageous. And you're going to have an opportunity here to vote yes on Proposition 6. Now, I know that, by the way, I've got a little inside scoop here on Proposition 6 and the underlying gas tax that you might be interested in knowing. I was talking with some people who really know about this issue, and the way that they tried to booby-trap, well, I wouldn't say booby-trap this tax, but to set it up to create a real constituency for this is that they earmarked the I think they call it SB1 money. Isn't it SB1 that created that?
The gas tax?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But they call it SB1 money, and a solid chunk of that will finally continuously be earmarked for the cities and the road departments. So instead of just taking the money, saying that they're going to provide money for the repair of taxes and railroads.
Well, it's a shell game.
It is. Yeah. This money is all fungible. In this case, they promised them enough money that they can now start making budgets in these cities. So, the cities are very strong supporters. And by the way, I've got some interesting news. Remember here a couple of weeks ago, we had John Kupal on talking about cities basically engaging in electioneering and funding campaigns. I'll have an update for you on that. All right, look, this is Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. We hope you call in and join us. I don't see the call-in number up here, but
866-870-5752. Join the conversation.
There we are. I should have it memorized. Them not. We'll see you in a minute.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you here. Jonathan Wilson, Mike Alexander, Radio Free Los Angeles. This is citizen-supported radio. Isn't anybody else supporting this but you? And since tomorrow is not only Constitution Day, but Citizenship Day, it'd be a good idea to go on Radio Free Los Angeles, radiofreelosangeles.net, and let us know that you support us and sign up for the become a union member. Give us a contribution. It'll help keep this show on and get the word out about high taxes and big government and the incredible threat that it poses to our liberties and to our ability to govern ourselves. This whole thing is out of control. Now, I think we have somebody who called in, but I'm not seeing that person up on my...
Well, I think we're going to have Dave DePinto here in a moment.
Are we?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Jeff, you just let me know when that guy's up and ready. I'm not seeing any green light or anything else up here.
But if you're out there, give us a call.
Yeah.
There's lots to talk about. The election is 53 days away?
Max.
52,
That's
something
right.
like that. 866-870-5752. This is a great place to make your voice heard.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. While we're waiting for Dave, I've got more stuff to talk about Constitution Day, and I will. But I'm going to pick up the conversation, or at least get us started, that you and I had the other day when we were driving back from the studio after recording some promos. And we were talking about the phenomenon that you and I frequently encounter when we try to get people involved in politics. And the perception for those of us who get devoted to this, there are a lot of citizens and voters who treat the political process as if it were something that we were doing, right? That we're selling a product. And when we go to them and we ask for their vote, or especially when we ask for support, they react as if we were trying to sell them a bar of soap or a product or something like that. Well, I'll look at it, I'll feel, I'll do whatever I can, and then don't want to support this effort. And as a result, they often not only don't participate with us, but they don't participate with anybody. And it is this apathy, the sense that somehow, we or somebody else is going to do their job for them, and that they need not get involved is not going to have an impact. Now, it is, and we see that impact every day of the week. so often when I talk with people, and I spoke with some wealthy contributors over the weekend at the Claremont Institute, and we talked about the stark differences between the funding of the left, not only the nonprofit organizations, the administrative bureaucracy of the government, its vast network of public employees, but most particularly the dues that are paid into the to the unions. Those amounts that are paid in by union employees who are invested in growing government, increasing taxes, that is, taking your money and your property and your freedom and your government and your Constitution away from you, their commitment to do that is concrete, and in some cases, like here in the state of California, is about $1,000 a year. And that totals over $1 billion a year in dues coming into the public employee unions here in the state of California. And as Judge, I think it was Alito, who wrote the Janus decision, the Janus decision was the recent decision of the United States Supreme Court that prohibited states, in this case it was Illinois, from imposing mandatory deduction of union dues and collection of union dues on the employee. And the court's analysis there was very, very succinct and accurate, and it made clear that every dollar that goes to unions are there to advocate for their employees, to pay them more, to increase their number, to enlarge departments. And all of that speech that the unions are engaged in is inherently political because it is urging action on the part of a government entity. And that is the very essence of political speech. That's what we're dealing with here in this particular situation. So, these guys are cranking in $1 billion a year minimum in dues. Now, I know that number is going to go down. There's no question about that. But at the same time, here we're trying to fix the board. At the same time, the most significant fact is not what they're doing, it's what we're not doing. Now, imagine if here in this state, if each Republican and conservative-minded independent were kicking in even $100 a year. How much would that be over there? You got your Obama phone with you there, Jonathan? That'd be $400 million a year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just $100 a year.
Yeah.
So we just have to do what they do. It's the simplest thing in the world. And when we sit around here, have we got that call, or are we just waiting for him, or is he here, Jonathan?
We're working on some technical difficulties.
Yeah. But DePinto there is...
I don't think so. I think we have a caller that's calling in.
Oh, okay, that's fine, yeah. So if you're out there, we'll try to get you up here and talk to you about all this. But in any event, I should have looked at this ahead of time myself and given you a heads up there, Jeff. Wait, don't blame it on Jeff. But we'll blame it on Brooke. She's our call screener.
She's not Jeff's fault.
She's so nice. No, these things happen. In any event, the key thing is what we're not doing, and it's really going to take conservatives to get organized and to realize what they're doing. And if we bring our money together and start using it strategically, we start using it intelligently and attacking the citadels of the left, we will get there. And we will, at the same time that we spend $1 million or $10 million, we will force them to spend 5 or 6 times as much. Now, where do I come up with that? Well, many of you have heard me say this many times before, but my moment of insight was in, I think, 2012. And in 2012, we had a proposition here in California. I think it was Prop 32. And Proposition 32 basically was a form of campaign finance reform. And one of the key aspects of that was that it made it illegal for the state of California or any employer to deduct union dues from a paycheck unless it was done annually in writing by the employee. He or she had to consent to it. Now, of course, the unions and the left wanted nothing to do with campaign finance reform that affected them, and believe me, that's the biggest reality that there is out in campaign finance. But they opposed it, and the day after, the first Tuesday in November, I looked at that, read an LA Times article, and that article was crowing, in effect, bragging about how dismally Proposition 32 had performed, and they mentioned that Proposition 32 had only been able to attract $5 million, whereas the opposition to Proposition 32 overwhelmed them at $75 million. Now, what that told me was something very important, and that is that all we have to do is to put enough money out there and attack the citadels of the left the same way that they attack our key liberties, and they will be forced to defend, and they will spend all they have to defend certain things. Now, one of those things that they will spend all that they can to defend at all costs will be the control of the minds of the young. So how we doing, Jonathan?
Good. I think Jeff's going to tell you when we have a caller.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Oh, Dean Gross.
All right, Dean, yeah. Yeah. All right. Was it one?
Yeah.
One caller? All right. We now have on the line Dean Gross. I can't see my board, but I know I got you out there, Dean. How are you tonight?
Very good, thank you.
All right, great. Appreciate your listening in on Facebook and everything else. What's on your mind tonight, Dean?
Not a problem. I thought I would share with you, since you're having some technical problems. I've been out campaigning for local election here in Los Alamitos in Orange County.
Uh-huh.
And yesterday afternoon, I knocked on a door, and the gentleman spoke with me. And when I know I'm speaking to a Republican, I bring out Mark Mosier's materials and encourage them to support him as well. And the gentleman's response was, "Oh, I know all about him."
Oh?
I said, "Really?" I said, "That's great." He said, "Yeah, he's been on radio on Sunday nights here in Los Angeles."
Yay!
Whoa,
Right.
that's cool.
We found that listener.
Yes.
He's lurking in Los Alamitos. Hey, that's
So
great news.
I thought you'd enjoy that.
I did.
You are penetrating the orange curtain.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, well, you know, we have a lot of people out there. We just have to carry it. And even though I'm very conservative, and all of us are, the issues that we're talking about, they used to be just basic good government issues. They used to be issues on which Republicans and Democrats could easily agree that we ought not to bankrupt our state, and that we ought not to make promises to employees and salary and benefits that we couldn't keep, and that we shouldn't run up a deferred maintenance on our roads and our sewers and water and water pipes and everything else, and let that suffer and deteriorate and not be able to do it. Are we down to 1 minute, Jeff? So what else is going by the way, what was you were down there in Los Alamitos, right?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
All right, good. And what was was this person? Male, female,
Yeah, he was
a little older.
He was a male.
All right.
He was male.
Good. Good.
Part of our demographics, I think, in our city, the
Yeah.
majority of the demographics are over 50, and we're probably pretty even between conservative and Democrat.
That's good, and very diligent voters. Very loyal voters down there. I love Los Alamitos. My reserve center, Marine Corps Reserve Center, was down there for years, and I always enjoy going down there. What's that?
It's now the Joint Forces Training Base.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, used to be just a Naval Air Station. Well, look, what have I got? About 30 seconds going here, Jeff. I want to thank you again, Dean, for calling in. I appreciate you being our caller and a listener. And to that fellow down there in Los Alamitos, thanks for being in our audience. We really appreciate it. Our audience is growing. We're trying to become a real resource for all voters, give you some honest information out there, and give you the reason for getting involved, and also try to identify for you the methods in which you can participate. That music means that we have I think we're at our 8:30 break, are we now?
Correct.
Okay, good. So, hey, the Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, will be back with you after the break. If you want to call in, where do they call?
866-870-5752, and we promise to get you on.
You got it. Back in a few.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson back with you for the second half hour. Now, for those of you who haven't listened to us before, welcome to the program. We start at 8 o'clock and we go to 9:30 p.m. So if you're enjoying the program and want to hear more, stick with us after the 9 o'clock hour. We're going to go to 9:30. We'll have some good people, some good callers on there. Now, do I have the good doctor on the line?
Yes, sir. Here I am.
All right, there he is. Right, I want to get your name right here. That is Dave DePinto?
No, this is Dr. Kenneth Wright.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Kenneth Wright. We're expecting the other fellow on there. Hey, we'll talk to you. You're down there. You down there going at it with Ted Lieu in the California 33rd Congressional District. Is that correct?
That is correct. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Doctor, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a medical doctor, academic doctor, what?
Sure. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a pediatric eye surgeon.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing it forever. I actually write most of the textbooks in my field. And I love what I do. I love being a pediatric eye surgeon. It's amazing. It's really good.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, you're doing God's work with those little ones. Nothing breaks your heart more than a youngster, especially little babies who have problems. Seeing, you don't even have to be a parent, but if you are a parent and you look at that, it just breaks your heart.
No question.
God
That's
bless.
why we have a foundation. We don't turn anybody away. So, yeah. So, so I sort of ducked out of water in 2016. I ran against Ted Lieu because the GOP, they weren't going to run anybody against him. I looked at his record, and I go, my God, he's anti-American. And
yes. That's
you got to
correct.
run somebody. And they said, well, why don't you run him? They didn't even know who I was.
Yeah.
So my son was in the Marines, my dad in the Navy, and I thought to myself, I'll be fine if I'm going to let him go unopposed. So I ran in 2016. We did okay, and now we're running again.
Good. Well, now the 33rd congressional district. These districts have moved around over the years. Could you tell us what cities in the San Gabriel Valley are included?
Well, it's really something. We start in Palos Verdes and a little bit of San Pedro, goes up the coast, just along the coast. Well, all the way from Hermosa Beach, Manhattan, Santa Monica, all the way up to Malibu.
Uh-huh.
In fact, today I was in Agoura Hills. Part of it.
Okay, yeah. All right. For some reason or another, I was putting Ted Lieu over here in the San Gabriel Valley. You're a South Bay guy. And
it's South Bay, but it's not really South Bay because it goes all the way up to Malibu.
Malibu, yeah.
It goes Bel Air, Beverly Hills, Hancock Park. It's like
wow.
All along the coast up to Malibu and a T. It's the most gerrymandered district.
Yes.
You can't believe.
Yeah, and the first time I saw that, didn't Craig Huey run in that district a few years ago?
Right, but I think it was different. It was different.
A little bit different then. So how are you doing? One of the things that I always find most interesting about candidates, if you're calling in on the show, we kind of know where you're at. Conservative, you're Republican. I want to get back into some specific issues with you. But when you're out there talking with the public, the people like you and support you, what are their major concerns, Doctor? What are they telling you?
In our district, it's very diverse, but in the Venice, Santa Monica area, number one, homelessness. That's by far is the biggest issue, and it's a hot issue right now.
Yes, and how about among the people who oppose you? Is it all Trump all the time, or do they have fundamental differences with you on policy that you can identify? Do they offer a reason?
No, I like your point. They don't offer a reason. They just say, you're a Nazi or you're a racist, which is absolutely absurd.
Yes.
I don't hear a real argument.
Right.
I don't hear facts. And when I bring up the fact that the Democrats have run this place for over 30 years, and we have a crisis with homelessness. We have a crisis in the inner city.
Yes.
They've done nothing but make it worse.
Yes.
Then they shut up, to tell you the truth. And they listen because, I have real solutions. And as a physician, you try to go to root cause. And if you solve root cause, you really solve the problem rather than putting a Band-Aid over an infection. And we've been putting Band-Aid over Band-Aid to try to hide this thing. And now, you can't put any more Band-Aids. We've got to do something about the homeless crisis here, especially in Venice and in Santa Monica, even Malibu.
Right. Now, as a conservative, what role do you see the federal government playing in in addressing the homelessness issue? Isn't that a uniquely local issue? Isn't that a problem that belongs to the city and at most to the county and the state? What would be your response to a conservative on that?
Well, you may be surprised. My solution is to take Fort Ord, which is federal, and it's vacant.
It's cold. Yeah.
And turn it into a township for people who can't make it in society.
Right.
But to run it, where you do a 501c3, and the government can help support it. But I want it to be run by a private nonprofit.
Right.
The problem is that we have people that can't make it in society.
Right.
For psychological reasons, psychiatric reasons, for physical reasons, and they may not be able to hold down a job.
Yeah. No, Doc. Yeah. And I hear you. And these are for all of you listening out there. These questions that I'm asking Dr. Kenneth Wright here is candidate for Congress in the 33rd. The reason I'm asking these questions, these are hard questions. They don't have easy answers. Historically, our modern methods of trying to address poverty rejected the poorhouses of Britain and of America, where we had them, and the idea was try to keep them somehow in the mainstream of our society, not send them off. What you're proposing makes a lot of sense at a macro level, but it does, in a way, involve gathering people up and moving them off to another place.
Really.
Yeah.
No,
okay,
really.
Fire away.
It's good because I call it the township option.
Yeah.
They have options. If they find a family member, if they find a friend to stay with, that's fine.
Sure.
If they find a shelter. Now, here's the problem with the shelters. They're all temporary. Everyone they've done,
yes.
everyone they're going to do are temporary. Many of the shelters, they have to leave in the day. Where do
yes.
they go?
Yeah.
Okay, they're going nowhere. And the thing is, many of these people need structured living. They're not going to make it on their own. Even if you give them 4 walls and a roof, that's not going to make it. Who's going to make their feet? Who's going to do their food?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Psychiatric problems.
And you know who's done a lot of work in that area along that line, making sure that they had housing, a place to keep the family together, especially the Salvation Army and other charities have done tremendous work in that area.
But as you said, the poorhouses are not around. Now, the Camarillo State Hospital used to take a lot of people with mental illness.
Yes.
It's gone. Okay, so what are we going to do with them?
We turned it into a state college out there, right? So all those, what they did was, do job conversion on the professors there, turn them from nutcases into professors. But you're right. We no longer have these places, and the law, starting back in the 80s, made it very difficult to remove people from the streets who did not have pose a danger to themselves. It was clearly identifiable and could be articulated in court. Hey, can you stay with us for another segment here, Doc?
Be happy to. Yeah, sure.
All right. We got Dr. Kenneth Wright, candidate against Ted Lieu, 33rd Congressional District. We'll be back in a minute and continue our conversation here on Radio Free Los Angeles.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you here. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles, radiofreelosangeles.net. Be sure to go there, sign up, give us some love, and better yet, join the California Taxpayers Union and be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Your contribution, your membership sends a strong message to our opponents, and it also makes this program possible. And one of the things that it makes possible is good, high-quality conversations with good, high-quality candidates for office. And we have one of them on the line with us tonight, Dr. Kenneth Wright, a pediatric ophthalmological surgeon, eye surgeon, lives in the South Bay area, and is going up against the infamous Ted Lieu in the 33rd district there of Congress. Doctor, let's talk about with the homelessness issue, very interesting, and the federal government could play a role. Let's talk, if we could, about your position on other issues, taxation, regulation, economic development, reduction of the overall size of government. Are these issues in your wheelhouse?
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe you could talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, as a physician, I see the impact of all these regulations. You know, they switched our codes for diagnosis codes, which they use for billing to try to do.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure why. So we went from about 5,000 codes to I think it's now 50,000 codes. And so you got to do left eye, right eye, just to bill.
Wow.
Just for billing. And so the regulations can slow down an industry, and I think President Trump showed that. By cutting regulations, look what it did to our economy.
Yes.
Boom, we're booming again.
Yes. So you want to get a handle on all of this regulation. May I assume that you support the elimination of what we've come to call Obamacare?
Absolutely.
All right, good.
If you look before Obamacare was instituted, life expectancy was actually better than after. You
right.
People in the street, you weren't walking over dead bodies.
Right.
You know, this big lie.
Yes.
Well, there were people that didn't have insurance. They didn't need it. There's L.A. County Hospital. There's free clinics.
Right.
Every emergency room has to accept you. So
Right.
even though there was people without insurance, they probably were young, didn't need it. If they really got sick, there's places for them to get good care.
That was always the case. They may not, they didn't have insurance, but that didn't mean that they didn't have access to medical care. They did,
Absolutely.
and they do, and they have
Absolutely.
for decades here in California, particularly. And in their effort to characterize it otherwise is a fraud, a hustle, and a con. Let's talk about national defense. Where do you stand on all of that?
On healthcare.
Yes, sir.
So there's one more thing, sir, on healthcare, which most people don't know about. McCarran-Ferguson Act. McCarran-Ferguson Act allows insurance companies to be exempt from antitrust law.
Mm-hmm.
They can collude and price fix, and they do it. They do it on the doctor's side. So when the doctor puts his bill in, they give them a dime on the dollar.
Right.
They fix their price on Medicare, and they all fix it. So a young doctor there's no competition. He has to accept that measly little reimbursement.
Yes.
And do it on the patient side. That's why the deductibles are so high, and that's why your premiums are so high. So the first thing to get real competition is you have to repeal the McCarran-Ferguson Act.
Yeah, okay, well, that sounds good, and I'll admit that that's one that I didn't know, but I want to talk more about
most people
that.
don't know about it.
No, I do, and count me among them, and I regard myself as pretty well-informed and pretty sophisticated in these matters, but I did not know. We need to look at that. What you raise also...
There's two industries that are exempt of antitrust law. Major League Baseball, and insurance companies.
Insurance companies, yeah, very interesting. They in the case of insurance companies, they operate under a charter from the government, but of course these arrangements suit both the insurance companies and the federal government just fine, because Obamacare in effect nationalized the insurance companies at the same time. And many people have asked me why I think that they went for that deal, and I think they went for it because they make their money on a guaranteed return, and if they move from being a regular insurance company to basically being a TPA, a third-party administrator of a fixed amount of money with fixed payments, and they get paid for processing claims, well, they're happy. And the more risk they can take out of the system, the better. So the thieves at the insurance companies were always in on this deal, and it was always the doctors and the patients, that would be us, and the fellow on this on the phone here with me, who got screwed in the end. Now, you mentioned something very important, particularly young doctors who are less well established in their profession, or who have specialties who are not high-dollar specialties. We're talking about general practitioners, maybe internists, the people who give us pediatricians of a different sort who are doing routine care. Are those...
exactly. Pediatric neurologist is a good example. Mm-hmm. They get paid the same amount, and they're spending an hour with a patient as somebody who's maybe an optometrist and spending 5 minutes. So absolutely good, excellent point.
Yeah, so we're driving... We're affecting the market conditions for these young men and women, and making it harder and less profitable to be a physician, and yet the amount of work to become a physician, to become licensed, to become proficient in this very complex profession, never mind trying to figure out how to bill, which is another level of complexity beyond. But what impact, Doctor, is that having on young people entering the profession?
Well, many of them have these huge debts from their college, from their medical school.
Yeah.
And they get out and they're making just about what a nurse practitioner makes. And it's really bad. I mean, the insurance company based their reimbursement on Medicare, which is horribly small. And as you said, many of the specialties, people aren't going into them because they can't make it.
Yes.
A good example would be pediatric neurology, which is a very important specialty. But boy, it doesn't pay. And you got to make ends meet. Many of the doctors now are looking to join Kaiser and other organizations rather than the old private practice, which
right.
I hope doesn't die, because it's really important for patient care and for patients to have choice.
Hey, we all rely upon that, upon that physician and the nurse. These are the people that we turn to when we're sick or we have a loved one who's sick. Our system worked well before, and doctors made a lot of money. They deserved to make a lot of money, and nobody was complaining about the money except Barack Obama and the other chiselers and thieves. They took a perfectly good system and moved it. Let's talk about, as a member of Congress, you're going to be there voting on issues of national defense. Do you support the president's foreign policy and his efforts to rebuild our military?
Yeah, I do. I believe in peace through strength.
Yes.
The world is much more stable when we have a strong America.
Yes.
When America's weak, then you see all these players start acting up. So, yeah, peace through strength, it works, and that keeps us out of war.
Totally with you there. Let's go on to taxes. We know that Trump initiated some tax cuts here. Do you propose making them permanent, or do you support a further round of tax cuts to reduce the level of taxation and hopefully of spending even more?
Every time we've had tax cuts, it stimulated the economy. Ronald Reagan did it, and we have seen it now with Donald Trump. I mean, it works.
Yes.
I think the government spends way too much money.
Yeah, totally with you.
I would like to see a balanced budget. I don't know about you, but I have to have a balanced budget.
Yeah, the only thing, by the way, I hear exactly what you're saying. The only thing that scares me about a balanced budget is that those morons would figure that you and I meant that it's okay to raise taxes to match the spending.
Right.
But, of course, what you and I are really saying when we say a balanced budget is that we should be reducing spending to match our revenue levels. And when we do that, we stop crowding out private investment in the economy. Jeff, I got about 2 minutes here left with the good doctor. If they want to support you in your candidacy, where should they go? How do they contribute to help you along?
Sure. The best place is the website, and that's Dr. That's Dr. Wright, WRIGHT, 4 Congress.com. Dr. Wright for Congress.com. And they can go there to volunteer, to donate, and they can learn more about our different issues like immigration and so forth. It's all laid out there. I can tell you my opponent, I went on his website, and it's just climate change. I couldn't figure out anything, what else he believes in. So
right, climate change, yeah.
But by the way, Republicans, we need to say that we're interested in helping people that are struggling. We're interested in the environment. I surf. I went surfing this morning. I want clean water, clean air. Don't let them paint us into being mean business people who don't care about the environment. It's the exact opposite. We care about the environment. We care about people. But you don't fix it with a hand out. You fix it with a hand up.
That's right.
We need to emphasize that.
And when we look back at the long and terrible record of the modern welfare state, going back to the 30s, but particularly since the 60s, it is just awful. So, hey, I want to thank Dr. Kenneth Wright for coming on. You want to support, you like what you hear from this man, go to Dr. Dr. Wright, WRIGHT, the number 4 Congress.com. Thanks again for coming on, Doc. Best of luck. Let's visit again before the election. Okay, Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, back with you after the break. We've got some good callers. We want to get to them.
Come in, Southern California. This is Radio Free Los Angeles. Do you copy? Repeat, do you copy?
Now transmitting from behind the Iron Curtain in the People's Republic of California, we bring you the voice of free men, free markets, and limited constitutional government. Welcome to citizen-sponsored Radio Free Los Angeles with President of the California Taxpayers Union, Mike Alexander, and editor of the Taxpayer Gazette, Jonathan Wilson.
All right, you bet we're here. Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. Please go to our website, Radio Free Los Angeles, all spelled out, radiofreelosangeles.net. Go there, make a contribution, become part of this dynamic and growing operation here. We're thrilled to have you as part of our audience, and believe me, we're starting to have an impact. We have for a while, and people are starting to get to know.
We should do a challenge for anyone that signs up within the next half hour before we end the show.
Yeah,
we give them something special, or
well, you can come on and give us your nomination for Government Grifter of the
so
Week.
If you're listening, go onto our website, CaliforniaTaxpayersUnion.org, and click the join button. Mm-hmm. And you can sign up for a monthly contribution of any amount, which goes towards making California golden again. And you can tell people you're part of the union.
That's right. You join the union. That's what we need is, tongue-in-cheek now, a union of our own.
That's right. And you can come by the office, and Mike will buy you a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's the easiest thing I'll do this coming week. Say, we've had a couple of callers holding over, so we want to get to him. First up here is Ray. Ray, where are you from, my friend? Are you up there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, thanks for your help in connecting us with Dr. Wright there. He was a pleasure to have on.
Yes, I was very pleased to hear many of his opinions, and I think we definitely all would agree that we need more representatives that have that type of concept of what needs to be done here in the state and the country.
Plus, he's a high-achieving professional, solid guy, and he's willing to go out there and present himself for office. Ray, what's on your mind tonight?
Well, I think it revolves around. I don't know whether we call it a bond issue or whether we call it a fee or whether we call it anything. It really winds up to be a tax, and a tax really is an obligation of the people of the community to pay back something. And I was hoping David was going to be there tonight, and I understand that he had some trouble with a flight connecting because of all the interruptions on the East Coast. But
we'll get Dave on at some point. You're talking about David DePinto, who in his operation there, his organization is Don't Railroad .us. Very clever. Don't railroad us, but it's Don't Railroad.us. So is that the fee or tax that you're complaining about, Ray?
Well, I would say it's one of them. I mean, every fee we get is an attempt not to give us a tax, but to call it a fee.
Yes.
But there's no doubt that and I guess I would present it to you, both you and Jonathan, is that we supposedly we vote for these things, and
right.
I didn't vote for the high-speed rail line.
Well, that's right. And the fact is that we do, and I think as you look at these problems, for example, Jonathan asked me during the break this kind of unfair. To a certain extent, it sounds critical of Dr. Wright, and believe me, I don't mean to be critical when I say this. He said, can he win? Well, it was 60-30 down there, but when we look at the status quo, all it reflects is what we usually do, which is not very much.
Nope.
So Ted Lieu, when we say that Ted Lieu is running down there, what are we talking about? You're up against a whole damn Democrat Party down there. You're up against every union in the state of California. You know, that's what you're up against, and those people kick in that money big time. It's centrally collected, it's centrally managed, and then it's used strategically. And who wanders on the field just barely getting his helmet on? Well, it'd be Dr. Kenneth Wright. And he's all on his own, don't you know? Oh, he's got some friends, he's got a little bit of money, and he's got moxie. He's got guts. He's a patriot, but he walks on that field alone because we're not organized. And then this poor son of a gun has got to traipse up and down 50 miles of a congressional district and go to Republicans. May I have your vote, please, pretty please? And you know it. If he really knocks the door, I'll give you something. And they tuck a $20 bill into his belt. Okay. Right? That's what they think. That's what your average Republican thinks that he or she is doing, that they're doing something great. And let me tell you, it is what we are not doing as conservatives and as Republicans. It's what we are not doing that is killing this state. Now, I imagine, I ask you to envision, I ask you to think about the consequences of Republicans, of conservatives, of independent Democrats who are concerned about this state. I ask you to consider the implications of what would happen, how different this state would be if we belonged to a similar organization and we were contributing $20 a week instead of $20 when some poor doctor drives 50 miles to get there. How different would it be? Then do you think that Jonathan Wilson would be sitting here during the break saying, Mike, do you think he has a chance? No. That Ted Lieu would be asking himself, do I have a chance? And that son of a gun would know that he doesn't have a chance because now he's up against real Americans who are putting their money where their mouth is, their money where their sentiments are. That, Ray, is the central issue, and that's why we are building the California Taxpayers Union. We have 4 million registered Republicans and conservative conservative-leaning independents and like-minded independent Democrats even in this state. Imagine if they were contributing $1,000 a year. I'm telling you, we wouldn't have Ted Lieu in this state. We wouldn't have a left-winger left in this state. We would be on our way to Moscow to deal with the problem where it started. And that's the business of this show. And so I'm going to ask you, Roy, if you're sincere, if you understand what I'm saying, you need to join the California Taxpayers Union right now. That's what you need to do. Whether it's $2 a month or $200 a month, whatever it is, you have to belong to this so that we can begin to get some central management so you can keep this on the phone. I don't get paid to come down here. Hell, Dr. Wright and I are in the same business, right? Yeah. We make money during the day. We lose it at night when we do politics, right? That's what we do. Now, what have I said, Ray, that you disagree with?
I can't think of anything. I told Jonathan that I would sign up. I'll do it this week.
Excellent.
I'll do that.
Now would be a good time. Yeah. Go right to RadioFreeLosAngeles.net.
You know, I just met Ray a few weeks ago. Yeah. But it sounds like he is not your typical Republican. He is contributing to various organizations.
Yeah.
So, but we'd love for you to contribute to ours. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you got guys like Dr. Wright. What's my time here? Is that just take us up to break?
We got a couple minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. So I'll just wind down my diatribe here.
Okay.
By saying this. So so you got a guy like Wright, and I know exactly what he's dealing with. He's going around asking for votes because we got these problems in this country. Hey, lady, when they sit there with that pursed up look on their face, or some guy with a bored look, how the hell did this taking this country back and fix these problems, how the hell did it get to be my problem? Why isn't it your problem? Right? So I knock on the door and I'm an intruder? Really? You see how we've got this whole thing on the wrong foot. Everybody ought to thank Wright for running. They ought to thank me for doing this show. Send some money. I'm not asking to be paid. I'm not even asking for your thanks. Just put the money on. Let's carry this battle against the enemy.
Right.
Ray, I want to thank you. I look forward to having you for the next many, many years.
Ray might be coming to our event next Sunday.
Fantastic.
He knows. He knows Robert.
Mike Alexander, Jonathan Wilson, RadioFreeLosAngeles.net. Call us. We'd love to hear from you. Be back with you in a minute.
If you like what you're hearing and would like to support Radio Free Los Angeles and the California Tax Limitation Committee, please call area code 626-792-1772, 626-792-1772, or kindly visit our website, catlc.net, catlc.net. You can also watch Radio Free Los Angeles on Facebook Live at radiofreela.us.
If you'd like to talk with Radio Free Los Angeles, the phone lines are wide open. 866-870-KRLA. That's 866-870-5752. We're live, local, and here to talk with you. 866-870-KRLA.
All right, back with you. Mike Alexander and Jonathan Wilson, Radio Free Los Angeles. You heard the number. Make that phone ring. We've got a couple of callers back up. We're going to go right to Jim from Huntington Beach. Fire away, Jim. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, thank you for taking my call. I'm calling concerning the ongoing public corruption in Orange County that was exposed when the FBI and Department of Justice issued their official report on it September 7th, 2016, in which they described how 12 Orange County Superior Court clerks had accepted bribes of $8,000 to $10,000 per bribe to make legal records disappear.
Really?
And
how did I miss that? Wow.
Because you noticed it wasn't reported.
Wow.
But it came out. If you do it's on Google. I printed out a number of copies of it.
Yeah.
But what they were doing, 12 clerks that were now convicted, prosecuted, convicted, sentenced to stiff federal prison terms by a 8th U.S. Circuit Judge, Josephine Stanton. And it was because what they were doing is they illegally accessed the compromised computer system in Orange County.
Yeah.
And once they got into that corrupted system,
what did they do? What kind of records did they make disappear? Convictions, prior drunk driving convictions,
what was reported by the FBI and DOJ was that, and this is what they investigated, was that it was the investigation primarily focused upon the criminal justice system and the traffic division.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, it wasn't just that; it was the family law division as well, and that was covered up because my legal records, I'm one of the victims whose important legal records and computerized court records was tampered with and altered and forged, and that it's still going on, and now they're in full cover-up mode, and I've been in communications with the FBI and DOJ, U.S. Attorney's Office, to try to get them to open up their investigations again, to investigate the Family Law Division, because the same thing is going on in the Family Law Division that was going on in the Traffic Division and the Criminal Division.
Well, Jim, here's what I want you to do. Hey, Jim. Hello, Jim.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to do. I've got we're in our last 15 minutes. I got a couple of more callers. Your topic is very interesting. What I'd like you to do is to go on hold, and if you don't mind, give your name and telephone number to our call screener, because I'd like to catch up with you on it and maybe do a little bit longer segment on this. This is a very interesting and compelling story that needs to be heard a lot more. So I want to thank you for coming on, and the lovely Miss Brooke will put you on hold there and bring you back, and then I'll be in touch with you. Thank you, Jim in Huntington Beach. Next up, we have Bill. Bill, fire away, my friend. We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to get you in.
Well,
thank you for waiting.
I just want to say that
yes.
I think a lot of what you're talking about is not a question of liberal, conservative, or moderate. It's just this. After World War II, after the Depression, we didn't have homeless people all over the streets, and also we didn't have them in the 1940s or 50s or 60s or going into the 70s, there's a number of things that happened. The mental institutions were open. The Vietnam veterans came back and were not treated like the World War II veterans. There were runaway families. There were people who got involved with the drug culture at the time. So there's a lot of things. And then the rents went up over the years.
Yes.
Taxes. So many things happened. There's a lot of people who are out there who don't want to be, that don't fit the image of those who, of having emotional instability problems or neurological problems. So it's important for people not to lump them all in. But the problem is, it's awful that as human beings that we should reach the point where we should say this is a desirable situation and this is healthy. You also have people out in the street who might have tuberculosis, which you and I and others could catch, or hepatitis C. It's a health hazard.
Correct.
And for people, and this is the thing I want to say, for middle-aged and older people to live in these wealthy areas that have lived here for generations and to just accept something that they and their parents and grandparents would have found really, a very discouraging situation, and for political leaders to not care and just to enrich themselves at the public's trough, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves.
Yes.
And this is not making a judgment. This is tell me if I'm wrong here. This is terrible, man.
Well, look, this whole business of homelessness is a highly politicized issue, but at a very basic
level. It shouldn't be.
No, I understand. I'm with you.
Yeah.
At the most basic level, we have to recognize our human obligations, particularly if we're Christian and adhere to those beliefs. If we're Jewish, if we adhere to that tradition, it must be to take care of the helpless. Now, this gets mixed in with a lot of mischief, and what they do in the homeless process, they regulate it. In other words, you can only help people a certain way. We have food restrictions that restrict whether we can give outdated food to people. No matter, we make it very difficult to do these things. We have zoning restrictions. We have the NIMBY factor, not in my backyard. But this is an outrage. Now, at the same time, if we have homeless people, then we should be revisiting whether we should be importing millions of people from other parts of the country when we have yet to deal effectively with our own homeless problem.
Well, you know something. Back in the Depression, we didn't have that issue. We had people out of work, and the people wanted to work, and I'll say this: even the WPA and the CCC, you had to work or you didn't get paid.
Oh, that's right.
You also had a family unit, so you've got a lot of social problems that have built up. And Reverend Andy Bales does a really good job. He does a show on the station here about Skid Row, stories from Skid Row.
Yeah.
And he's got a really good program that focuses on a hand up and not a handout. But even he says it's terrible what's happened. He says, I remember there used to be mostly alcoholics. Now you've got people that have opiate addiction down there.
Oh yeah.
And this is and hepatitis C. You have tuberculosis. Then you have people going in bathrooms in stores now, shooting up heroin.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, gentlemen, I'm going to let you go, but I just think this is so sad. There was a time, and you've lived here long enough, when you couldn't, if you'd have told somebody that California would become such a demoralized state like it is, and not only the cost of living, but the unfriendliness of people, the rudeness of people, the road rage, all these problems. Who would have believed this at one time? I mean, this is unbelievable.
Hey, I want to thank you very much for calling in. It's a good one.
Thank you.
Please call in again sometime.
I will.
I've only got a few minutes left, and I'd like to. So thanks for calling. We appreciate your listenership. Who do we have up here next? Remember our board's number. We got Dave. Dave from Orange County. How you doing out there, Dave?
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hey, we're doing fine, thanks. Hey, did you join my union yet?
Oh, I will. I haven't yet.
No. Okay, now you got to do it. You got to. Did you disagree with anything that I said earlier?
No.
Right. The only alternative we have to build a counterpoise, a counter-revolutionary movement here called the California Taxpayers Union. I need your help. I need you $2 a month. Can you do at least $2 a month?
I can do that.
Because I want those people to go on there, and I want them to see all those contributors. We'll talk about getting you up there.
Okay,
but please don't fail me.
I want to talk to you about
the
victory we had today. I went out with a table for our candidate, Jessica Martinez, Republican for 57th District, against Ian Calder and me.
Lovely lady.
Yes, me and Vietnam veteran Rick Bergquist, and we had a table promoting her, and we had great success. We're using our secret formula, and it's working, Mike, folks. Here it is. I'll give it out to you. Okay. It's the gas tax, and they're Hispanics mostly.
Yep.
At a Walmart.
Hello.
Okay, here's what we did. Okay, we did this. Hey, folks, this guy Ian Calderon raises gas tax on you, okay, and he also is pushing and has pushed bills that are causing a dramatic increase in crime, and they're going, thanks for telling me that. And I said, vote yes on Prop 6. It will repeal that gas tax. Mike, it worked. We were out there
Fantastic.
2 hours.
That's right.
We're going to do it again.
Yes on 6. No one called their own.
Yes,
hey, got 1 minute. Hey, Dave, 1 minute. Make it good.
Real quick. My suggestion, folks, get this to your Republican candidates in Orange County, okay, Young Kim and on the others.
Yeah.
Campaign on this. Number one, if you vote Democrat, they're going to take away your gas tax. Also, these candidates need to promote getting drug prescriptions reduced, the price of that. And number three, Republicans did push for keeping pre-existing conditions in healthcare, and they're still doing it, and they're going to do it. Those 3 things.
Okay, buddy. Hey, it's always good to hear from you, David. We're coming up on the end. I don't think we're going to have any time for Government Grifter of the Week award. It was fun.
I had some good ones lined up.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll hold them for next week. Right. We'll send out an email with some stuff. But we loved our callers, loved our guests tonight, and we love you guys out there. Hope you'll be part of this next week. And don't forget to go to RadioFreeLosAngeles.net and join the union. Send a message that we're united, we're organized, and we're coming for you out there. See you next week.